further with our next presenters. And now we move to Professor Alka Parik and Mrs. Aisha Nazrana. Their work is on GDP, and who will be questioning the GDP as a development measure and explore alternative frameworks that focus on happiness, human development, and life realities. So I won't take much time. I'll just invite Dr. Parik and Aisha to uh, share their findings.
So, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So, I'm going to be talking about the alternative measures to GDP because not many of us are very happy with GDP as the measure to as an index which measures the progress of a nation. So we are looking at happiness index and happy planet index as some of the alternatives. So a nation's progress is typically measured by how much production of goods and services it has generated, which is gross domestic product, which is GDP. But we know that this measure has had a lot of limitations. Like it tells you how much production has happened, but it does not tell you how much environment or how many natural resources have been destroyed. And because of that, environment has been degrading, global warming has been happening, and now it has started threatening our food and water availability also. Inequality of incomes have increased to the extent that people report that in some nations, just 1% of the population controls about 20% of the nation's wealth and income. Poverty, World Bank said in 2015 that will be eradicated in 2030. It is 2025 and poverty is showing no signs of being eradicated. The stress level among the population has increased, heart diseases have increased, and urbanization has led to traffic congestion, stress, and pollution. So the question is this the kind of progress we want for ourselves? When we look at the happiness report makes certain statements which are very useful and interesting. They say that income and citizens' well-being are related, but only at the lower level of GDP. After that, the relationship is not very strong. Then they say that people's well-being, of course, does not increase with increased GDP after a point of time, but even the planet's well-being declines with increases in GDP. Mahbub ul Haq and Amartya Sen introduced Human Development Index, which was a very, very good index to look at a nation's progress. And it is being used widely also. But the happiness report people say that one can be healthy, educated, and well off and still be miserable and lonely. So we need to look at happiness scores also. So that is how happiness index and happy planet index are slowly gaining currency. The happiness scores, how are they calculated? So the report depends on Gallup World Poll, where the respondents are asked to rate their life satisfaction on a scale of 0 to 10. In addition, they look at 6 other factors also, which is social support, GDP per capita, life expectancy, freedom to make life choices, generosity, and absence of corruption. So they look at these factors also, and then they give the score. The Gallup World Poll looks at 1,000 respondents every year, and the happiness index then takes the 3-yearly average of the score that the Gallup World Poll gives. And the results that the happiness index gives is that the Scandinavian nations usually top the list, and USA, UK, Saudi Arabia, which are the rich nations, rank lower than 20. As far as Happy Planet Index is concerned, Happy Planet Index introduces ecological footprint. So it looks at well-being by asking just one single question: how satisfied you are with your life overall on a scale of 0 to 10. But they claim that this question performs surprisingly well. Life expectancy, ecological footprint. They look at the land required to support the plant life that is needed to absorb and sequester carbon dioxide emissions. So just to give you one example, they have found that to support that kind of a plant life for the consumption that UK makes, you need 3 Earths. One Earth will not be possible if the entire population of Earth starts consuming the way the UK citizens are consuming. So these are the kind of findings that they come out with. Now, the limitations of the happiness index and HPI index have to be known because people are not yet very ready to accept these indices, saying that they are very inaccurate. So they say that happiness is not always the goal. Lot of people sacrifice their happiness so that they can rise in their social status. Another very important criticism is that Asians do not choose extreme answers. So they will not give 10 out of 10. They will not give 0 out of 10. They will give middle answers. But the South Americans will give the extreme answers. So which means that the South Americans will always turn out to be happier. Third thing is they look at just 1,000 people. So if a big nation like India is being studied, then what happens with such a small sample is what actually happened in 2025, that India ranked lower than Palestine and Ukraine, both countries which were at war. And then it was very badly criticized, the index. Another problem is that the happiest countries on the list are the countries which has the highest depressant users. Then how can they be the happiest? And they also say that different people perceive different meaning of the word happiness. So if you reword the question, you will find completely different answers. So then what kind of index is this? This is what they say. But we felt that somewhere we also need to understand how good or sturdy this entire methodology is. So we conducted our own survey in India, and the results of this are going to be presented by Aisha.
We interviewed 141 people. Out of them, 82% were from the urban areas, and most of them were women, accounting for 58%. Majority of the respondents were from Mumbai, accounting for 53%, followed by Delhi, which had 23%, and then Gujarat, 21%. From Gujarat, we had both from rural areas and urban areas. Maximum of the people whom we interviewed, they were between the age groups from 31 to 50, making up 53%. And most of them were graduates and postgraduates, accounting to 37% and 39% respectively. Next slide, please. The average happiness score that we got was 6. This could mean that people, especially in Indian or the Asian cultures, often prefer balanced or moderate answers rather than choosing strong or extreme ones. So to validate this score, we looked at related factors which affect the well-being of a person. So these factors were family ties, health condition, occupation satisfaction, social environment. The average score across these variables was 59.8%, which was very closely aligning with the happiness score. When we questioned the respondents, they were easily able to understand what we were asking them, and we got very consistent replies. To triangulate the results of the life satisfaction score, we asked another question. So we asked, is life comfortable for you, or is it full of trouble, or is it a mixture of both? 76% reported life being reasonably comfortable. So this difference in score shows that almost everyone differentiated between comfort and life satisfaction. Next slide, please. On being asked whether or not they had somebody on whom they could rely in times of illness, if they needed some financial help, or in times of emotional distress, everybody answered in the affirmative. Everybody seemed to be having somebody on the other. So during emotional distress, they could rely on people. For negative experiences, we concentrated on corruption, bribery, and cheating. And the responses we got were 58% of the respondents reported that they had frequently experienced such experiences, a factor that may reduce the overall happiness or life satisfaction of the people. A very striking rural-urban divide was noticed during our findings. We noticed that 71% of the urban respondents had faced experiences of bribery and cheating, while contrastingly, 76% of the villagers from Gujarat claimed that they had never experienced such an issue. From Mumbai, 87% of the people said that they had experienced corruption, and that too on a very frequent note. And in Delhi, only 48% reported the same. This finding was despite the expectation that maybe Mumbai might be better. Next slide, please. While talking about safety, the results that we got were 77% of the Muslims always felt safe, and 10% expressed frequent fear. Out of the 4 who expressed frequent fear, 3 belonged to the poor or the lower middle class. Contrastingly, 57% of the Hindus reported always feeling safe, and 9% expressed frequent fear. Out of the 9 Hindus who expressed frequent fear, 8 belonged to the poor or to the lower middle class. So now the question that arose is what actually shapes safety? So our findings made us notice that the perceived safety can be shaped mainly by the economic background of the people, irrespective of what religion they are from. If a person belongs to the lower income group, he or she tends to have more uncertainties in life or face fear, which can actually heighten the level of stress, which can lower the well-being of a person. So we came up that religion does not seem to influence the sense of safety.
Aisha, you have just 10 minutes.
Yes. Occupational satisfaction has a strong impact on overall happiness. From this graph, we see that the satisfaction level of the rural people is way more than the urban people. So the lower satisfaction score among the urban people might reflect higher aspirations and expectations. And contrasting to this, we saw that the rural people were not dissatisfied at all. So the lack of dissatisfaction could mean rural expectations are more in line with reality, or simply the overall lower overall. Next slide, please. The average life satisfaction score that was given by graduates and postgraduates was 6.2 out of 10. And the less educated group gave a score of 6.5. So the less educated are slightly more content on an average. For health satisfaction, educated respondents gave a score of 3.67 and less educated gave a score of 3.57 out of 5. So here we see that 1 shows full satisfaction and 5 shows total dissatisfaction. So based on this, we saw that the educated are slightly less satisfied with health. Now, this could be because of several reasons, like the educated people are generally more aware about their health issues, they have access to health reports, etc. But overall, the differences across both these indicators does not seem significant. Now, life satisfaction levels based on religion. So Hindus reported an average score of 6.02, Christians 6, and Muslims reported a slightly higher average of 6.13. The difference in the scores is minimal, indicating that religious affiliation does not seem to play a major role in determining overall happiness. Happiness and marital status. Here we saw that the highest average score was given by the married people, which was 6.59. The lowest score was given by the widowed individuals, which was 5. And the never married people gave a happiness score of 5.92. Very interestingly, the divorced individuals gave a score of 6.33, and the separated individuals gave a score of 6.50. So these relatively high happiness levels could suggest that leaving an unhappy marriage can lead to relief and personal growth, as it can reduce your stress level. The geographical location had a more pronounced impact on the happiness levels. The urban respondents had an average happiness score of 5.90, while the rural respondents reported a significantly higher score of 6.76. Now, this higher score can be attributed to the fact that rural life often fosters stronger community ties and a simpler lifestyle. They face less pollution, have less stress, which promotes well-being despite economic challenges. In contrast, the urban life brings more stress from career, consumerism, and commuting to workplace, which can lower the level of happiness. Next slide. Age also influences happiness levels. Respondents 40 and below gave a score of 6.05, and respondents 40 and above gave a score of 5.53. Now, this lower score can be associated to the fact that the older respondents may be facing concerns related to their health, future security, contributing to slightly lowering their life satisfaction. Ma'am, contribute from you?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we
Yeah.
can hear you.
Okay. So when we look at these results, what we found was that we could actually evaluate people's state of life satisfaction fairly well. And the questions that we used were the ones which were used by the happiness or happy planet index. So the methodology was same and we got good results for that. One thing which I would like to mention is that the standard deviation was 1.9, which means 30% fluctuations around the mean, which was moderate fluctuation. So this criticism that people did not understand the question or different people perceived it differently was something which was not correct. And we got acceptable results as far as happiness score and its correlation with safety or occupational satisfaction was concerned. So overall, we thought that the results actually were quite reliable. Just like the happiness report had told, we found that the correlation coefficient was very insignificant, 0.275, between happiness score and income status. And this validates the claim that after the basic needs are satisfied, more income does not necessarily result in more happiness. We feel that we should start using the happiness score and the happy planet index more because it will change the philosophy of the policymakers. For example, Bhutan limits the number of tourists because it prioritizes environment over more income. And if well-being of the citizens is the goal, then the person who donates the most and helps the society the most will be respected over the one who is the richest. And increasing loneliness among the youth will make the headlines and not the decline in Sensex. So our priorities basically will become more reality-based and more value-based. To save our planet and to improve our living experiences, we need to pay more attention to indices like happiness and happy planet compared to GDP. This is what we strongly feel. And we, as I told you, have proved that these indices can be useful. And with that, we finish. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alka ma'am and Aisha, for such a insightful presentation. The first time I came to know about the happiness index was when it was in Bhutan. And I'm glad we are discussing about it, looking, and it is that need of the hour as we see so many people suffering with mental health issues, so many committing suicides in spite of having so much being at heights of their career, achieving so many milestones, but still that happiness is missing somewhere. So it's good that we are talking about it, and it was very reflective presentation. So now, as we move into our final presentation for this session, we pivot from human-centered measures of well-being to exploring intelligence and behavior in animal kingdom. Our next speaker is Malav Shah, who brings a unique neuroscientific lens to this conversation, taking us into the fascinating world of elephants, a creature known for their memory, empathy, and social bonds. Malav is associated with Bernstein Center